Well, as you can imagine, this is the end of a highly charged and emotional day here. The relatives were waiting anxiously all morning for the judge to finally give his verdict and pronounce the sentences. And in the end, after some excruciating delays, he finally did just that, and all eyes were on him at that moment. After all the security and controversy surrounding this trial, when it came, the end was almost matter of fact. The judge reading out his verdicts and sentences quickly and clinically. Reaction from the defendants was muted, almost as though they had been expecting such a result after a 5-month trial held in a fortified courthouse. But some defendants were acquitted, and outside there were relatives who expressed disappointment at the sentences.
For us, it wasn't an exemplary verdict. The sentences were too short, and some of them were let off.
Here at Atocha railway station, where many of the attacks took place, the dead are being remembered. The conclusion of the court case brings to an end months of agonizing for the relatives. Most of the ringleaders were convicted, but there are experts here in Spain who believe that a threat still exists. Among them is a former key government advisor. Do you think a threat still exists?
The threat still exists. Al-Qaeda is naming Spain quite frequently and very aggressively, recovering this ideal of conquering Al-Andalus again. And then all these developments in Northern Africa in connection with Al-Qaeda and the Islamic Maghreb are particularly disturbing to us.
The Madrid bombings threw Spain into turmoil. The horror of the event itself was met with disbelief. First, the ruling Conservatives blamed ETA, the Basque separatist group. But within 3 days, there was a scheduled general election, during which the Socialists were triumphant. They concentrated their investigations on groups inspired by Al-Qaeda. Most of those in court were young men from Morocco. But after the trial, their lawyers were still insisting that evidence against their clients was flimsy and circumstantial.
Our reaction is negative because we don't believe the evidence would stack up in any other court in the world.
For many victims, there are still battles to be won against the physical and psychological scars of the attack. Jesus Ramirez hasn't worked since March the 11th, 2004.
At first, I felt anger and hatred, but with the passing of time, I feel almost pity for them, because they're people who've destroyed us, but they've destroyed their own lives at the same time. I've always valued my liberty, and to think that a human being is going to spend the rest of their lives behind bars really seems to be an irreparable loss for us and for them.
Spain's politicians say the trial has proved a triumph of democracy over extremism.
And Tim, given the trial is now finally over, just how easy is it for Spain to move on from the bombings?
Well, I think there are still difficulties ahead, not least because, if you'll remember, about 3 weeks after the initial train bombs here at the Atocha railway station, you can see the memorial behind me to those who died, the ringleaders who were effectively cornered in a Madrid apartment in a suburb of Madrid by police blew themselves up. Now, many here feel that they, in fact, were the real ringleaders, and that those people in court today, many of them were on the periphery, or at least not at the core of this conspiracy. So there's still this feeling that some have gone unpunished, as it were. And I've spoken to politicians tonight who think there should be further inquiries, not least because of what we were hearing in my story just then, that many feel the threat still exists here. So they would like further investigations. And I think with a general election ahead here in March, there'll be many more arguments about this to come.
Tim Friend in Madrid, many thanks.